Good morning, beautiful people. It's another beautiful Tuesday. I am super excited today because it is another wonderful day. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I hope you had a very good weekend. I hope your weekend was great. I hope it was good. I hope it was beautiful. Most importantly, I want us to talk about a topic that is very, very important this month, or not this month, today. We are still on the month anyway. Because one of the biggest leverages I have discovered that any business can actually have is what is referred to as strategic partnerships. If you don't have any form of partnerships in your business, it's going to be a bit difficult for you to be able to meet up with what is called your revenue goals. But another thing that you also need to understand is that just one weak link in your, I'm going to call it at this time, your supply chain. A lot of times when we are talking about third party relationships, it may not necessarily be a supply chain. All right, it may just be the partnerships, it may be the vendors. Yes, when we're talking about vendors, most times it's the supply chain. But in this regard, I'm going to talk about the supply chain because a lot of times it has to do with either your vendors or the clients that you have. Just one of the weak links that you have could actually put everything that you have worked for at risk. But interestingly, I know a lot of times we don't put that on the top of our priority list because we always think that we don't have to protect ourselves from threats because it's something we cannot control. We think, oh, the fact that my vendor has a problem, the fact that my partner has a problem, it has nothing to do with me. When in actual fact, it could actually be the 100% cause of something that could pull down your business. So today, I'm going to help you navigate third party risk very simply and confidently. Our goal for today is to be able to navigate what we call third party cyber risk, third party cyber security risk. As far back as July 2021, there's an organization called Kaseya. That organization is a technology company that is based in Miami. It was affected by a ransomware. And when it was affected by ransomware, considering the fact that they were an MSP, what is called the managed service provider, they were relating with a lot of other businesses as well as organizations. Over 1,500 businesses were affected by that attack. And the sincere truth is, the attackers did not attack those 1,500 businesses. No, they attacked Kaseya with the ransomware, but it actually penetrated to 1,500 other businesses. What that incident did was that it helped us to reveal what is referred to as the uncomfortable truth about how an SMB can do everything right on their own side and still fall victim to a cyber attack because of somebody else's mistake. Third party risks are usually very invisible. They are things that they are not connected to your everyday, I'm going to use the word everyday operations in your own organization. But the truth is, no matter how you are looking at it, they are still connected to you because when you're looking at your vendors, like your payroll accounting, a lot of the cloud accounting, a lot of the cloud tools that you're actually using, even some marketing platforms, they can penetrate through this. So the message is very clear. You may not be able to control the services or the vendors or the partners that you have on your network, but you can control how well you protect your own business from them. All right? It may not be easy for you to control what other people are doing in their businesses, but it is very easy for you to control what you are doing on your own end. So the essence of today's session is for us to be able to build awareness, for us to be able to build accountability, as well as resilience against all the silent risk that is hiding in our partnership network. I'm going to use that word, our partnership network. All the different partnerships that you have, what are the different risks and liabilities that they may carry? How can you control it from your own end? Now, this is how I want you to look at it. You have a building. In this case, your organization or your company is the building, all right? And you have decided to put in a burglar door, you put in different kinds of keys or controls, I'll call them safety measures, before people can actually come into your building. The interesting thing is that you do not have, no, even you may even have, you have a gatekeeper at your door. When you have the gatekeeper at the door, interestingly, you are allowing people to come in irrespective of who they are, because you believe you have a gatekeeper, you have a dog by the main door. Different people are coming into your organization. It does not mean they have nefarious intentions, and it does not mean that they have bad, they want to do some bad activities. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it is a place that is penetrated or can be allowed for anyone to come in, because it's a business. You don't have to control everyone that is coming in. And the sincere truth is that because you have a guard at the door, you have a dog at the door, it should actually be controlled. But then I want you to now look at it this way. You have put all the security measures in place, you've put an alarm system, you've put the guards, you've put the doors, you've put your CCTV cameras, but your gatekeeper makes a mistake. The doorkeeper that you put in makes a mistake and now leaves one of the doors in one of the rooms open. It may be one of the offices that has the critical assets. It may be the office that actually is holding the server that controls your your card holder information. They mistakenly leave that door open. What do you think will happen? You have actually been able to close every other door. You have actually been able to put safety measures in place. But interestingly, you left I'm going to call it a trap, a door opened. Now, the gatekeeper is the one that has made that building penetrable, or I'm going to use the word, the the room penetrable in this instance, because you have put in safety measures for the building. Yes. So you need to understand that at this point in time, that doorkeeper is the one that is your weakness in that organization. In this instance, I need you to consider that doorkeeper as your partner, your vendor, or whoever you have allowed to bring in things that are penetrable into your system. You also need to know that if your vendor's cybersecurity system or their cybersecurity strategies or their measures are weak, you have left the door open to attackers, irrespective of the safety measures that you have put in place in your own business. You have put in safety measures in place. You've put in for the doors, you've locked, you've put in the CCTV, you've put in the alarm system, you've put in a dog. People are actually showing their badges. You know, there's some form of control. But at the end of the day, there's still a weakness because the door was left open. Anyone can come in when a door is left open. That's why I need us to look at some of the steps that we can take today to ensure that you are keeping your third party relationships safe and secure on your own end. I need you to understand what that means. You don't have to keep it safe and secure on their own end, no, but you need to keep it safe and secure on your own end. The first thing I need you to do and know as a good SMB leader, a founder, is the fact that it's very important that you know who your third party, I'm going to use what partners are. Who are your third parties? You need to identify them. You need to know them. You need to make a very good list of all your partners, make a very good list of all your vendors. Even if you know them verbally, you know them by heart, you can actually name some of them at the tip of your fingers. It's still very important that you actually create a document and know these are the vendors that you have. And it's not just about knowing the vendors. You also know which of them are actually software providers. You need to know which of them are actually contractors. You need to know which of them have access to your data, what kind of data they have access to. You need to know which of them has access to your systems, what kind of systems they have access to, which of them has access to what is referred to as critical data. All this information is very, very important. You need to put them in place and know what exactly they are accessing within your network. Or even if they are not accessing it at this point in time, what have they been granted access to? What do they have the privilege to access within your network? That's the first thing. Now, the second thing, I'm going to advise that you have a very good third party risk management program in place. Please, it's very important that you have a TPRM program in place. It's called the third party risk management program. A lot of organizations don't have that in place, and that is one of the reasons that has made you very vulnerable to what is referred to as third party cybersecurity risk attacks. Now, the third thing is that I need you to evaluate their cybersecurity posture. Putting someone on your own network, you need to know what their own security infrastructure and posture looks like on their own end. It's very, very important. I'm going to advise that in this instance, you actually get what is called the continuous monitoring tool. I'm not going to be giving you examples of anyone. I'm not going to be making any recommendations. But the truth is, you need to look for what is referred to as a monitoring tool. A lot of times we call them continuous monitoring tool, so that you can actually have a good understanding of what their security posture looks like. And it's not just about using the security tool, it's about asking these particular vendors about what their security practices looks like. How do they protect their data? How are they controlling access to information and data and systems? How are they responding to incidents on their own side? These are the kind of questions you do not only want to know, you also need to be privy to. Number four, I'm going to tell you to prioritize what is called the high risk vendors. Now, who are high risk vendors? A lot of vendors can be categorized. When we talk about high risk vendors, it's categorized into two categories. I'm going to put them into two categories. When you put in your third party risk management program in place, dependent on the kind of results that you get from them, because either probably because their security measures are not looking good enough, that's the first instance. Or in the second instance, which is the most important one, what kind of sensitive information or data or critical services within your own organization are they privy to? That makes them a very high risk vendor. So even before some organizations even come into place within your organization, they're already high risk because of the kind of information they are going to be privy to within your own network. Now, it's going to be very terrible and even bad if for any reason they are now even coming in, they have access to critical information, they have access to critical data, and then their security infrastructure is looking terrible. So you need to understand if they are what is referred to as a high risk vendor. Now, the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is ensure this should be included in your third party risk management program. Actually, include security requirements in your contracts. It's very important that you create a contract for every vendor, every partner, every client that you're going to be bringing into your network infrastructure. It's very, very important that you actually create a contract for them. If you need me to teach you how these contracts are made, please leave it down in my comments. Just signify in my comments so I can actually talk about how to create contracts for third party relationships. It just occurred to me that some people may not know how to create contracts for third party relationships. So if you need me to teach you how to create a simple contract for third party relationships, please leave it in my comments below so I can actually teach you how to create a very simple one. But I will still advise that you reach out to a security professional, a cybersecurity risk management professional, to help and guide you in your instance. All right. Somebody that is involved in like a VCSO service can actually help you with that. When you are talking about including all the security requirements in your contract, after you have done what is referred to as your security assessment on this vendor, then I'm going to ask you to make what is referred to as clear, remember the word I used, clear expectations. Clear expectations. What are the things that are required? What are the requirements that you need of them? What are your expectations of this vendor? Usually after the assessments, you have discovered the loopholes, you have discovered their lapses, you have discovered where it's most likely they can be vulnerable. You can ensure that you put that in your contract if you are going to be bringing them on board to make sure that your own organization is actually safe. Make it a part of your organizational contract. Make it a part of the requirements that you need in your contract. Identify it very specifically. Don't say, oh, no. Even if there are things that you have not identified during the assessments, there are some clear cybersecurity expectations that you require of them. They should have MFA. They should ensure that they have a patching cadence. They should ensure they inform you in case of an incident. Small identifications like that, little things that you want to mention in the contract. What kind of they should make sure that their data is encrypted either at rest or when it's in transit. Ensure that all this information is actually included. Don't say we agreed on this verbally. That's not the way it works. Make sure it is documented in a contract before you sign a relationship agreement with them. As a part of their relationship agreement, I'm going to emphasize it again. Ensure there is a contract with clear cybersecurity expectations as well as audit requirements. And what is referred to as an audit right. You can decide to do an audit in case of a problem. Ensure that is part of your contracts. Ensure that is part of your contract. Then I'm going to talk about something that just occurred to me right now. There's what is referred to as a flow down security requirement. A lot of organizations don't put that in place. What that means is that if your vendor is using a vendor to be able to meet up with some requirements or some aspects of their services that is also going to affect you, you need to put what is called a flow down security requirement, which in essence means if you have a vendor that is performing these activities or these services on our behalf, they should also fulfill these obligations. So ensure that you make that a part of your requirements as well. Even if you don't have that service in place for them right now because they're probably not using a vendor, it's still very important that you make that a part of your cybersecurity requirements in case they decide to bring in or outsource a part of their services in the future. Okay? And it's not just about building in the requirements. It's not just about creating a contract. I need you to put in what is called consequences as well as exit options. If you don't do this, this is what will happen. If you don't do this, we can decide to be out of the contract. We can get out of the contract even if our term is not up. Even if the contract we have signed with you is not up, you need to put in what is referred to as consequences as well as exit options. It's very, very important that you make that a part of your contract as well. I've told you it's very important that you have what is called flow down security requirements as well as exit options as well as consequences. Like I said, if you need me to explain or give you a tutorial on, I'm not going to use the word a tutorial this time. If you want us to do a session on how to create a simple third-party relationship contract, please let me know. Now, the next thing I want us to do is that you have put all this in place. Your contract has come on board. I also need you to make it a part of monitoring continuously. You need to ensure that you are monitoring the vendor continuously. So many of us forget that vendors can become vulnerable even after they have come into your own organization or they have become a part of your process, they have become a part of your system. It does not mean they are vulnerable at that point. But as the work goes, some ports can be opened, some services can be added, and then they start to becoming vulnerable. It's very important that you continuously monitor them so that you can know if that does happen. What that means is that you're going to be checking in with these vendors continuously, and you're going to be watching out for news, you're going to be watching out for alerts in case they are breached. But most importantly, I'm going to advise that you use a continuous monitoring tool so that you can identify if something actually happens with any of your partners or vendors. The last thing is I need you to have what is referred to as a contingency plan. A contingency plan. In this case, that is like a quick backup plan in case something happens. That means if there's a possibility that a vendor is compromised, if anything happens to a vendor, what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? How are you going to react? What are you I don't like it when people react. I'm going to use the word how are you going to respond? What are you going to do in that instance? Reacting means you are not prepared. But the truth of the matter is if you have plans in place and you have a contingency plan in place, it's very, very easy for you to know what to do even when a vendor or a partner has been compromised. Recently, in the news, there were a lot of retail chains have been hacked in in UK. That is the United Kingdom, and it actually started with one of the vendors that most of them were using, one of the partners that most of them were using, and it's becoming a very big deal in the United Kingdom right now. I think it's been happening for about 2 to 3 weeks right now. And I know a lot of them are actually having issues because they did not have contracts in place, or probably because they did not have a contingency plan in place to know how they were going to react or respond. So it's very, very important that you know how to react. I don't know why I keep using the word react. How you respond. How you respond in case a vendor is compromised. Like I said, there's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting means you're not prepared. Responding means, yes, this is how we are going to act in case there is a compromise. I want you to know that if you're able to take some of these steps that I have just given to you, you will not only strengthen the fences within your own walls, within your own network, but you will also ensure that no matter what is happening on the other side with your vendors, it does not penetrate into your own organization. Now, I'm going to answer a very, very important question. This is one question I always get when it gets to third-party relationships. I thought it was very important that I answer that. And that question is, what are the most overlooked warning signs within third-party relationships that can actually expose my SMB or my organization to vulnerabilities? Wow. I have discovered that when a lot of SMBs, they actually overlook what is referred to as inconsistent security policies between the organizations as well as the third party vendor. Some people will notice something that may look a bit minute or small, but it's a lapse. And then they say, oh, let's overlook it. And a lot of times, that is where the vulnerability or the attacker can come in. So it is very, very important that you don't overlook these signs, no matter how minute, no matter how small, no matter how minimal it looks to you right now, especially when it's talking about inconsistent security policies between your organization as well as that vendor. That's one of the reasons why I said a contract is very important. A third-party risk management program is actually very important. Those are the security policies I will advise that you put in place. Now, the second thing you need to look out for is what is referred to as lack of regular security audits. A lot of partners, a lot of organizations don't have regular security audit options. Now, you need to look out for that when you're actually doing your assessment for them. If they don't have that, you need to count it as a flaw. The third thing I want to talk about is the absence of contractual requirements or obligations. I already talked about this. I'm not going to emphasize on that again. It's very, very important that you put in contractual obligations, contractual requirements in place, your expectations. Put it in the document. Send it as an agreement. Send it as a contract, a memorandum of understanding. If this does not happen between us, we cannot go ahead with using your services. Or even if we use your services, we have the option to either exit or you face those consequences. All right? Then the fourth flag that I want you to pay attention to is that when a vendor is requesting for privileged access, when they don't have the proper controls in place. What that means is that when they're asking for some particular access from you guys, they're asking for some access within your organization and it is supposedly privileged. If it is privileged, there are some controls that you need them to put in place within their own organization. If they are not doing that, please, it is very, very important that you pay attention to that. If they are not doing that, pay attention to it. I'm going to say it again. If they are not doing that, ensure that you don't open up your organization to them. And the one that is the biggest red flag, if that organization has an history of frequent security incidents, if they have an history of breaches, if they have an history of attacks. I already mentioned in one of the sessions that an incident does not necessarily mean a breach. No. An incident does not necessarily mean a breach. What kind of incidents, especially when they are security incidents, does this organization have as a part of their history? Now, what I will advise that you do in this instance is that apart from putting in, I think I already explained that before, apart from putting in the contracts, apart from doing an assessment, apart from ensuring that you have a very good third-party risk management program in place, you need to do what is called the proactive continuous monitoring. I need you to have a proactive continuous monitoring approach. Don't just do a one-time assessment, please. Continuously monitor your vendors. Ensure you monitor them on a consistent basis. That way, you will know if there is a lapse, if there is any lapses. I'm not going to use that word. If a new vulnerability comes in place, it is very, very easy for you to know. I believe I have answered that question. I want you to understand that by protecting your business, it does not only mean protecting your infrastructure, it also means protecting your efforts, protecting your hard work, protecting your customers, as well as protecting your own reputation. You don't have to be a cybersecurity professional in order to be able to manage or start, I'm going to use the word, start managing third-party risk. I just need you to be a very smart, a very careful, a very proactive leader who will not leave any door unlocked. So what I'm going to advise you is that today, I need you to take just 5 minutes, list out all your vendors, identify the ones that are actually the high-risk vendors, identify the ones that are your top vendors, then ask yourself a question. Which of these vendors have access to critical data on our side? Which of these vendors have access to information on our side? That way, you can reach out to them and start a cybersecurity or a conversation about their security posture. Wow, it's been another beautiful session. I want to thank you for spending time with me today. I don't want you to wait for a breach before you open your eyes. I don't want you to wait for a breach before you start to secure your vendors. All right? Until I see you again on Thursday, don't forget to send in your questions. Don't forget to leave your comments. Join me again by 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday morning. Have a beautiful, amazing, and productive Tuesday.